Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Becky Brown.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. We are going to help a few people today, and maybe you're one of them. You can give us a call at 1-800-229-3000. Joining me today is Dr. Jim Burns. He's president of Homeward, as well as the author of a million books. Well, it's not a million, but I mean, it feels like it. And Jim's been helping families, husbands and wives, kids, do the very best they can. And we're so grateful that you are a friend of ours, Jim, as well as Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris, who is a psychologist, licensed marriage and family therapist, as well as a college professor, a vet, a nurse. I mean, Jacqui, you have done it all. And because of that, you are so wise. I would love to hear what's on your mind today.
I just love that lead in, because what's on my mind is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And it's on my mind because last week we were in Japan and we talked about single story resetting. We did a workshop on resetting single stories. And what we find is that it's so life limiting. And ever since I've gotten back, I've sat with clients and had conversations with friends or members at church, and people are limiting themselves. We are not doing things we say we want to do. We are not making changes we say we want to make. We're not going places we say we want to go because we say we can't. But then we say, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. And so what I want people to remember is, if what you're wanting to do aligns with who you are in Christ and what God desires, right? Seek ye first the kingdom, right? If you are seeking first the kingdom, then trust that God wants the best for you. And the desires of your heart, align them with God's desires and watch them come to pass. Because I feel like if we're putting ourselves in a box and we're limiting ourselves, we're limiting God. And I really do believe I can do all things through Christ. My husband says, we shouldn't tell people that they can be anything they want to be. And I say, why not? Well, I don't want to be an astronaut. I'm not equipped. So that's not a want of mine. Math's not my thing, so I'm probably not going to qualify. But what I want to be, I am. And I pursue the things that God puts on my heart to do. And I say he's ordering my steps. Do I believe that or don't I? And so I just want to encourage people to take scripture seriously. We take it seriously for others when we want to say that someone shouldn't do something, or they're bad for this reason, or they're caught in sin. But when we look at all the things that we're being told about our relationship with Christ and the power that gives us, I think we put ourselves in boxes. We put God in a box, and it's life limiting. And I don't believe that is God's intent for us. I believe that he expects abundance from us and not mediocrity. We can do and be more in Christ.
So good.
I love that. Jim, What would you add to that?
Well, I was thinking of C.S. Lewis and the story of Aslan. And he said, Aslan is not a tame lion. Sometimes we put God in a box and we kind of try to tame God. God is omnipotent. He's omnipresent. He's everything.
Everywhere and everything.
And so God is not tame. And so we need to line in and align our lives with what he's doing. And when we do that, we can do all things in Christ. Yeah.
I also think it's so powerful when you look back at God's faithfulness in your life.
Absolutely.
Look at God.
Amen.
Look at what he has done. And to marvel at just what he has given you. No matter what situation you may find yourself in, God will provide. And it could be that you have to call. You could call us, or you could call somebody else. You could call a friend. But really, God is able to do more than we can ask or imagine. And he's probably already done it in your life. Take a look at it. See what you haven't given thanks for up to this point. Because you woke up today, you're breathing. It's a good day to be alive, and we're going to be live right after this. We'll talk to you soon.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction.
He was unfaithful. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Intensive is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
There were strip clubs.
My husband is a recovering sex addict.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 12th through the 14th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Burned with a New Life moment. In his lifetime, Vincent van Gogh sold only one painting. Today, he's known for his passion and artistic genius, and he's remembered as a lonely soul. In a letter to his beloved brother Theo, Vincent wrote, "Our inward thoughts, do they ever show outwardly? There may be a great fire in our soul, and no one ever comes to warm himself at it. The passers-by see only a little bit of smoke coming through the chimney and pass on their way. Now, look you, what must be done? Must one tend that inward fire, have salt in oneself, wait patiently, yet with how much impatience for the hour when somebody will come and sit down near it, to stay there, maybe. Do you ever feel as if the fire in your soul will burn out before anyone notices? For some encouragement, visit newlife.com. I'm Steve Arterburn. Thanks for listening to this New Life moment.
Wow. I always say these profound teachings that he offers, but that's what we're all about, is about sharing that fire. And the fire could be something that you have a passion for, but it also could be something that is so painful, that is burning you up from the inside out. And it goes along with what you were saying, Jacqui, where, to pay attention to what is the story that we're telling ourselves and what are we paying attention to as far as God's will for our life. I know that we've been helping people for 35 years. We're going to continue to do that. And we want to be part of your journey. So if you have a struggle, don't hesitate. Give us a call. Right now, we're going to go to our calls, and we're going to talk with Jane, who's calling us from Columbia, South Carolina, listens on Sirius XM. Hello, Jane. Thanks for calling. How can we help you today?
I have a grandson who is 12 years old and has a serious eating disorder. And he does not eat the right things, and he doesn't eat enough of them. And we have talked about this in the family, in the close family, and but my son, who is the father of my grandson, does not want to. He's either overwhelmed or he's in denial, but I have confronted him with this, and what it has caused is for him to not want to communicate with me. And no one else will say anything to my son about his son because they feel like until he asks for some help that there is nothing available that can be done. And it is really alarming me and upsetting me, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Well, Jane, we hear the struggle. Jim, how would you direct Jane in this?
You're in a tough situation because, again, your son is in charge as much as we would want you to be, because it sounds like you have a better handle on this. What you're saying, though, is that your son knows what you believe. He knows your concerns, right?
Yes.
And he knows that you love him. You're doing that in love, right?
Yes.
So you've given him, in the part of knowing what you believe, have you given him information on eating disorders and letting him kind of understand some of the trauma that can take place with that?
No, I have not. Just my observations of what he eats and what he doesn't eat.
Okay.
My son and his wife divorced about a year ago, and it was not a surprise. It was not a good marriage. My son is happier, not being married, but she is not a cook. And she, I think herself, doesn't eat correctly, but obviously I cannot get into that at all.
Right. Now, Jane, you mentioned eating disorder. So there's actually a clinical phrase, eating. Does this kid not just, he's 12 and he doesn't eat good stuff, eats sugar and all that, or does he literally, does he have anorexia? Does he have bulimia? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'll be glad to tell you. He doesn't do anything like throw up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he eats much for breakfast at all. For lunch, he eats 1 to 2 slices of bologna and Doritos or some type of snack chips. And then for supper, he may eat like chicken nuggets or some type of. So this is good that he has that and fried chicken. And French fries. But no vegetables, no beef, no fruit, no milk, really. Sweet tea. And yes, I can see him losing weight. And what's amazing is I see him growing in inches, but to me, his clothes look like they're hanging off of him, and I became very alarmed at Easter when I saw them.
Sure. Now, so you're not going to probably love what I have to say, but I don't know that you can, work around your son. So your son knows what you believe. Strongly, it sounds like. He knows that you love him. And, this kid may have to learn how to eat more properly from a different way. And maybe that's going to be, he's going to get a girlfriend one day. And all of a sudden, maybe she's going to eat better, or he's going to have friends, from something that they eat better. But I think you've made your statement loud and clear to your son. I wouldn't keep on keeping on. You can't be a one-topic grandma, because if you're a one-topic grandma, then your heart is breaking, obviously. But also by being a one-topic grandma, then your son's not going to want to listen to it. So, broaden this relationship out. He knows what you believe, so you don't have to say it again. He knows how you feel. And even with your grandson, then sometime when you're with your grandson, introduce him to something that's halfway decent. But again, there's a lot of kids that age, and you and I don't agree with this, but there's a lot of kids that age who, eating chicken nuggets and French fries, or, that's what they eat morning, noon, and night.
And lunch meat and snack chips for lunch.
Right, exactly.
My grandchildren live with me, and so I get to see their lunches and their snacks regularly. So I really, Jane, I don't know that this is an what we would call an eating disorder. This is, he doesn't have healthy eating habits. Yeah. And that can lead to things, down the line. Sure. But he is eating. In an eating disorder, they're starving themselves, and there's something psychologically going on. This just sounds like he hasn't been taught to eat in a different way, and he will make those adjustments. He's getting in the calories that he needs, probably in terms of getting enough calories to have energy to do what he needs to do each day. He's not gaining a lot of weight. And I remember going home for the summers to see my grandma. My mother wasn't a great cook either. And they'd fatten me up every summer, and I'd go back to California and lose it all over the 9 months of the school year. And I'd go back to grandma's in the summer. But I learned to eat different things when I would visit with my grandmother. And so one of the things we're doing right now with my granddaughter is there's a young YouTuber who has she has a show where she deals with trying new foods. She's got 1 or 2 things she would eat. And so now her and her mom have a conversation while she tries a new food. And so she tries it 3 times. She'll take a bite. That's going to be a shock to her system. And then she'll take the next bite so she can actually experience it. And then she'll give it a 3rd try just to make sure she likes it or doesn't like it. So her and her mom have come up with this system to get her to try new foods. So
May I interject?
Yes,
please?
ma'am.
Thank you. I feel like my grandson is starving himself because I've seen what he eats actually become less and less and less. However, my son will not let my grandson stay with me so I could possibly try to introduce him to some other things that are good. He wants complete control over it. And this is what concerns, because my grandson adores his father. But
it can be distressing, Jane. Here's the thing. It can be distressing. And just like what Jim and Jacqui are saying, how can you love and not get stressed if you know that the son also loves him, loves his son, and is doing the best he can? The other thing about a 12-year-old boy, a lot of boys go through growth spurts that they get really tall before they gain any of the weight. So there's a lot of things going on. But here's what we want for you is we want for you to be able to, be confident that your son knows how you feel and that he will do the very best he can for his son. I'm going to send you a copy of How We Love Our Kids, which I think can be helpful for grandkids as well. But we're so grateful that you're a good grandma, Jane, and we'll be praying for your grandson and hope that he can put some weight on and continues to grow in stature and in truth, right? Isn't that what the Bible talks about? Yeah. We are going to go to our next caller. We're going to talk with Charlotte, who's calling us from LA. She watches us on YouTube. Hi, Charlotte. Thanks for calling. How can we help you today?
Hi, guys. It is such an honor to talk to all of you. Thank you so much for taking my call. I have a question on tithing. I wanted to know if we are under the new covenant or the old covenant. I've been a tither since I was 19 years old. I'm 46 now. And I know there's a scripture where it says you're under God's curse if you don't give a tithe. And I'm a single mom, and every penny counts, and I've never missed a tithe. But I'm just always struggling, and there's so much need around me. People need meals. They've lost loved ones, and I give my tithe, but then I can't give a meal to someone or give a gas card. And I just don't know if I'm operating under an old covenant or a new covenant. And I really want to do right by giving to the Lord. I just don't know how me just kind of going online and pressing a button is. I don't know why I don't have peace about it right now. And that's why I wanted to talk to wise counsel.
Okay. Well, you called the right place. Let's start with you, Jacqui. What would you suggest for Charlotte?
That last thing you said about not having peace about it really landed for me. I do believe in tithing. I do also believe that Jesus came to fulfill the law and the curse is done away with. But I do believe that there is a blessing in tithing. I also have struggled with that feeling of I want to give directly, and you don't have you don't get to see what the church is necessarily doing. And so I can give to the church and I don't worry about what the church does with it. I'm not worried about it being misused. But there are times where I will use my tithe to do a particular thing. I've done a day where we fed the homeless. And so I've been intentional when God has placed it on my heart to do that. So I pray over my tithe before I submit it.
Okay, great, Jacqui. Jim?
Charlotte, I'm going to put on my pastor hat. I actually call myself, a lot of people call me Pastor Jim, even though I'm not a pastor in my church right now. I think you don't want to go to legalism. Sometimes people have gone to the legalistic side of tithing. So I'm saying 100% with Jacqui. Let's pretend that, a tithe is not something that's tax deductible. So let's say that you wanted to give someone a gas card or you wanted to help somebody with food or whatnot. Well, you're giving to God. And so I think you have to expand the way you look at giving to God, not just to the church. Now, Kathy and I give to our church. We give also to other nonprofits. My wife has the gift of giving. Sometimes that actually drives me crazy because she's more than a tither, I'll tell you, and has been for all these years. But the point being is it's more about being a servant and giving, and you have that heart. So I wouldn't worry too much about, those numbers right now. And I say to people, because you actually surprised me because I thought you were going to say that you don't tithe at all. And you said, no, I've been tithing for a long time. I think what you do is you take that step and you give to God. And I think people who long-term give to God also save money. I wrote a book called Getting Ready for Marriage, and we say to newlyweds, if you put 10%, of tithing and 10% of in savings, and you live on 80%, you're actually going to be in a good place, because we do better when we're like that. So you sound like you're a good steward of it. I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't use that word curse. I think God is thrilled that you're caring enough to even ask the question.
I agree, and I love just that it may be a new growth step for you, Charlotte, where you pray about it as opposed to just that rote, just writing it and sending it off. And
hitting that button.
Clicking that button. But we're so grateful for your heart, and I know that God loves a cheerful giver. And we are so grateful that you called today, Charlotte, and stay in touch. We want to hear how God moves in your heart. We're going to be right back after this break.
For over 35 years, New Life Ministries has provided help and hope in life's hardest places.
We've struggled a lot with communication. I have struggled with anxiety.
My wife had a sexual affair with my son-in-law.
She said, "Dad, I don't like how you talk to me."
New Life focuses on bringing true healing to those dealing with relationship issues, mental health struggles, and addictions.
After work, I listen to you, and it just helps me with questions that I'm having with my marriage, with my family. I am so blessed to have New Life in my life.
I just wanted to say that you guys saved my life.
Recently, friends of the ministry came together with a matching gift challenge to encourage you to join them in giving. Because of the matching gift, right now every dollar you give is doubled, up to $400,000. Giving is easy. Go to newlife.com/donate, text MATCH to 28950, or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And thanks for making a difference.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are going to take calls, 1-800-229-3000, because that is what we do. We have been doing this for a long time, 35 years. And when I think about, going back to what you said, Jacqui, in your opening, when we look at what God has done through New Life, it's pretty astounding to hear the stories and the testimonies of lives changed, families changed, and that people have found a new life. We're just so grateful to be part of what God is doing. And, right now we're doing a matching gift campaign. We're going to do this through the end of May. And I just want to encourage you, if you've never given to New Life, now is the time, because every dollar will be doubled, up to $400,000. We had a group of donors who believe in what God is doing through New Life, and they set the seed at $400,000, which is pretty astounding in and of itself. And they said, we want others to get just as excited as we are about what God is doing in New Life. And so every dollar you give will be doubled. And if you would like, you can give over $100 or more, and designate that you would like a copy of the Every Woman's Bible. This is coming out in May. Misty Arterburn was one of the editors, and it's just an amazing Bible that has a lot of teachings that center around women's experience and their knowledge and their wisdom. and it's beautiful and all of those things. But we're so excited to offer that as an extra gift when you make a donation of $100 or more. And you can give by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could go to newlife.com/donate, or you could text the word match to 28950. Whatever way you give, I want to just say thank you in advance for the life that you will be part of changing, because God is working in and through New Life, and we're grateful to be part of it. A lot of times when you hear the show, you are not listening at the time that we are taking calls. And so we offer another way for you to submit your question. You can go to newlife.com/radio, and we'll have all the details there. And, it's been great because a lot of you have responded, because I know that you're listening in other ways, whether it is through the podcast, through the app, through online. You may not be in the car or listening to your radio at the time of broadcast, but we are here for you, even if you are not listening at the time of broadcast. So we wanted to offer a way for you to ask your question, and you can do it. It's easily done. And I'm going to present one of those questions now. We get a question from James, and the question is, how can I approach the conversation with my fiancée that I'm scared that she's enmeshed with her parents and I won't be a priority? He recently got engaged to the love of his life, and she's been living with her parents since she was born, never left the home. Now we're in a serious relationship, and I'm scared that she's not aware of the enmeshment she has with her parents. I believe her parents have some codependency, controlling, manipulative tendencies, but are not willing to admit it, and I'm afraid that I will not be a priority. My needs will not be considered, and her parents' needs and feelings will go before mine. And I do my best and bend to her will and compromise, but she does not do the same at times. Her parents often make her feel bad and guilty if she goes against their views and opinions. My concern is that she's more concerned about pleasing them than losing me. How can I approach this conversation? Well, Jim, how about you start on this one?
Well, I love that he brought that up, because sometimes when you're even doing premarital counseling, you don't get to that place. And yet I find that in premarital counseling, that when you have those kind of conversations, those are the breakthrough type conversations. So, he's got to bring that up. That's a conversation you have before you get married, not just after you get married. And so you have that conversation before. And I would strongly suggest to James that he makes sure, I hope he's getting premarital counseling. There's a study in Oklahoma by the state that says you have a 31% better chance of staying married if you get premarital counseling and or premarital education. In fact, there are several states now in the United States that will give you free wedding license, marriage license, because if you'll get the counseling. So that's how key it is. So James can have a conversation. He can have a conversation with her. That may work. But he might want to have a conversation with a moderator, the counselor, the pastor, somebody who says, what are we going to do? Jesus was very clear. A man will leave his father and mother, be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So what Jesus was saying, although he's speaking on several levels there, but leave, and they talk about, even in the old days, leave and cleave, be bonded. The word, that is bonded. You'll be bonded to your spouse. Well, his wife is going to have to leave her parents. That's not easy. I don't think I did a good job with that. When Kathy and I would have tension the first year of our marriage, and I was a youth pastor at the time, I would go home. And I never told my parents that we were having a fight. I just go open the refrigerator, and it was comfort to be there and talk with them. And then, I hadn't left. And finally, then we moved to Princeton, New Jersey, where I was going to grad school. And that was really good for me because I hadn't done that. Well, this woman needs to do that. But, it's a really normal thing. He's picked that out. And again, how great that she's lived with her family, that her family is that tight. I mean, a lot of families aren't like that. His job is to protect his marriage coming up and honor his in-laws. And in doing that, I honestly think that James has a shot at really, being a transitional generation. He and his wife to be, can now, create some great, family times, but he's going to have to make sure that that's brought up. They're on the same page.
That.
Get on the same page.
I love that. We'll hear from Jacqui after the break. We're going to talk a little bit about enmeshment because he can describe it, right? And what does it feel like? What does it look like? Maybe you are in an enmeshed situation. and you don't even realize it, but you can feel it. But I love what you are suggesting, Jim. Marriage is more than just the wedding cake. And Steve always says that you do really well until you eat that wedding cake, and then everything changes. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for your life and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We were in the midst of a conversation about enmeshment, and I want to hear what Jacqui has to say about that, and maybe help, James as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So James is feeling like the family that he's about to marry into is enmeshed. So enmeshment is just this level of closeness that there's no breathing room. And some of our families are super close and they do everything together, and that's great, and it can be healthy to a point. When a family is enmeshed, it's disordered. People aren't able to think for themselves. There are these family codes and these family themes that you're locked into. And so it's really hard to be a new person coming into that. We want to be more diffuse, where people can safely and securely come and go in the relationship, have their own life, but then come back together and enjoy each other. The first thought that I had was, what is James's family like? Sometimes we marry into a family that is very close, and we come from a family that isn't. And so they look disordered. That looks crazy to me. You guys do everything together. So that was the first thought that came up for me, would be for James to take a step back and just check inside and make sure that he's not feeling the way he's feeling because he doesn't have a similar relationship with his own parents. The other thing is that premarital counseling, oftentimes people will go and they've already made up their mind, so they're not really open to talking about the hard things. Go to premarital counseling and talk about this. Bring it up. Have the conversation. I love that this is a issue that you're finding as a fiancé rather than as husband. And if you don't feel like you can bring this issue up and have a conversation with her, you should probably not get married right now, because this is important, and you're already feeling like she's going to choose something other than you and not prioritize you. She may need to have a conversation about the fact that you expect to be prioritized. And so having a good premarital counselor, I think, is a big important step in having them to be able to walk through this conversation and do a comfort circle. I recommend reading How We Love. I think it could be great for the both of you to work through how we love before the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he mentions a lot in that email about how afraid he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's afraid that they're controlling. He's afraid that she won't put his needs first. You know, there's a lot of fear that goes into a new relationship. Even though they've been dating and they're getting married, that fear starts to pop up, and we have to pay attention to it.
And there's some ideals at play here too. Like, he has an ideal marriage in his mind. He has an idea of what marriage is supposed to be. And I've sat with people so many times where they've said, this isn't a real marriage. And I say, did you say I do and get a marriage certificate? Then it's a real marriage. It's just not the one you thought you were going to have. And so he's dreaming and planning and envisioning what his marriage is. Are they doing that together? We make vision plans and strategic plans for organizations, for our jobs, but we don't do it for our marriage and for our family. And they probably need to sit down and create a vision.
You're so right, Jacqui. And what happens is we need to do that before, and really even things like, so what are we going to do for Christmas?
Yes.
What are we going to have Thanksgiving with them every year, or are we going to do some of our own things when we have children?
Yeah.
You know, those kinds of questions, and that actually may ease some of his mind, because she may go, oh no, we're not going to get up at 6:30 in the morning and go over there for Christmas morning. We're going to have our own, Christmas, whatever it might be. But make some of those plans ahead of time. You can always break those plans,
right?
But make some of those plans. Not every vacation is with them, things like that. Every Sunday, maybe they won't go to dinner, and who knows, maybe they will. But there's a psychological term called individuation that actually Henry Cloud writes on really, really well. But basically, if she's only lived at home and she's enmeshed with her family, as he describes, then she's going to have to, become her own person. And sometimes it's a benefit to become your own person before you get married, because there's going to be a crash in the relationship. But he has to understand, if that's the case, then she actually has to become her own person, and then they become kind of, the Bible talks about, two become one flesh. Well, sometimes they have to become one away from parents to come to be really have a intimate relationship, meaning a connected relationship. So that's something that he's going to want to bring up and kind of understand and get some discernment from probably that counselor.
Yeah.
I love that, individuation. Bruce and I are celebrating 40 years of individuation. No.
we were in our 36th year, but that's so important for a woman who's never lived outside of her parents' home and outside of the authority of her father to then go to marriage. She hasn't differentiated. She hasn't individuated.
Right.
And then 20 years into the marriage, she wakes up and realizes her kids are grown, his business is going well, and she's just trying to figure out who she is. And a lot of times that's when couples end up in my office.
Yeah.
And so having her being in therapy before the wedding could really help them prevent some of those hurdles.
We gave our kids that gift. I have all daughters, so we had no hormones or drama in our life. But we gave our kids all the gift of counseling. And we laughed because our daughter Christy, instead of sick, we gave them all 6 sessions. She said, now the counselor thinks we need 2 more. and of course, I went, it's all about us, Kathy. Yeah. We're causing this. We might as well pay more. Yeah. But it is the thing where even some of the listeners could do that for their children who are getting engaged, or actually, like you say, it's sometimes I believe in pre-engagement, counseling. It might be with a pastor. I mean,
I agree.
But have those kinds of conversations before, because you get married, and if you haven't dealt with those issues, man, it's going to be a tough.
For better, for
years.
worse is a real thing.
Yeah.
You can't imagine what the worst thing is if you haven't taken time to imagine. And we just say yes.
Very good.
And recognizing the fear that goes into new relationships, like I said before, but also everything from, she's going to feel it, like you said, Jacqui. She's got a new experience. One of the things that I've talked to couples about in premarital counseling is the division of labor. Like, who is doing what? Because a lot of times when you come from mom and dad's house, you're not thinking about taking the trash out or who's paying the water bill or anything like that. And those basic things can really trip up a couple in those early years because they start to panic. It's like, wait a minute, it's funny because I remember a story that someone told one time about the first dinner that she made, and she had the bottle of ketchup and the bottle of mustard on the table, and her husband thought, oh my gosh, what, were you born in a barn? Well, his mother, had all the fine china and would put the ketchup in little dishes and the mustard in little dishes with a little silver spoon, well, she didn't come from that kind of family. And that was like their first fight. Yeah. So you just never know what's going to trip you up. But going into marriage, you just know that you're going to learn a lot. And if you can be open and be able to have some key support, whether it's another couple that isn't your parents, because that's usually helpful, or even, to have friends who are early in their relationships. I know that it is the great adventure, but it can also, feel like you don't have a GPS. But that's why we're here. We want to help you. We have our marriage intensive, whether, we have had engaged groups that have come to our marriage intensive, our intimacy in marriage. We do teach about how we love, the attachment styles, and attachment styles in relationship, in marriage, is really profound. We know it because we teach it all the time, but like you had mentioned, Jacqui, the comfort circle is a great structured conversation for couples to continue to grow closer and closer and have a deeper understanding of what life is like for the other person, because we usually put our presumptions on our spouse. I know maybe you guys don't do that, but
projection is it definitely happens.
No, totally.
It does happen. Yeah. And mind reading too. We think that they can understand what we are feeling and thinking, and it just doesn't occur.
Yeah, it's really not a form of communication. Mind reading is not a form of communication.
Right. And we think we know what they're thinking and how they would respond. So we've had a whole argument with them and made decisions based on conversations they weren't privy to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Many times we get calls, and we had a caller in a previous show who he was struggling with sexual integrity and, just the harm that comes to the relationship when betrayal occurs. And we have our Every Man's Battle intensive, which can help men. We also have our Restore intensive for women who have experienced betrayal. And, we also know that there is, a time and a place where we have to just say, what do we want? Like you had said, Jacqui, what's our strategy here? How are we going to have a good and healthy marriage? Who are going to be the people that are going to be part of it? And Jim, I know you have been helping couples for years as well. And, you see some patterns that are emerging with couples who struggle in similar ways. And, what is your best advice to those couples who are struggling?
Is learn, communication's a learned trait. Learn how to communicate, be around people. I'm speaking with my wife this weekend, Mount Hermon in Northern California, and those people they're going to have an experience just like our people have with our intimacy and marriage experiences. And it's not about the content, it's about they're connecting and learning new ways to love and to be intimate.
Yeah. And Jacqui, how about you?
Same. It's communication. Learn to mirror back what your partner is sharing with you, validate what they're experiencing, and empathize with where they're coming from. We don't do that. We're not taught to do that. So learn how to mirror, validate, and empathize.
I love it. Wow. Well, you can go to newlife.com, click on events, and you'll see all of our intensive information there. We hope to see you at one. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Daniel Grossman on coaching.
Coaches are really focused on the future and helping people to develop those skills and those strategies to help them move forward in their life. A coach really partners with you to focus on things like personal growth or health goals, spiritual growth, helping you develop in your career, or possibly strengthening your relationships, or maybe even breaking free from a negative pattern.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches use different techniques. Some like to use strategic questions and accountability, ultimately empowering you to take those next steps toward your goals.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today.
I really believe that everyone can use a coach in their corner.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. In case you didn't know, Mother's Day is on Sunday, so this is just your warning. If you need to get a card or do something for somebody, celebrate Mom. We are going to go to a flashback call. Steve has been doing this for a long time, and we have the benefit of hearing his wisdom. Terry, go ahead.
Katie, Kansas City, Kansas. Listens on the internet. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm scared just because I do that. You guys are the ones that taught me that close relationships are important, and I've really been working a lot on that the last few years. And my biggest problem is that, particularly with new people, it takes me literally like 3 or 4 years to really start being myself. And when people start getting personal, I just go completely numb, and I don't know. I have no idea what I think or feel during that time. And just
When they start getting personal about you, you mean asking about you or talking about themselves?
About me, I'm okay with them. I can be really, understanding and ask questions and empathetic with them. But when it has to do with me, I just, I just get shaky, and then I can almost literally feel like a chemical spread out through my body where I just can't feel anything.
Okay. So what's your question?
I want to know if you have any suggestions that would be helpful. I've been through quite a bit of counseling.
Does it change? Does it change when you're in counseling and you start to disclose yourself to a counselor over time?
Yeah, the one, I've had one for over 3 years now, and with him it's really good.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Okay, so let's dissect that for a moment, because what has happened is that you find when you're out there, and I'm going to use a word here, it's unstructured relationship. In other words, anything can happen, right? You're on the byways and highways of life, and you know exactly what's going to happen, or if this person's going to be safe, or will they understand, or will they go away, or will they try to hurt you? And where there is uncertainty, that's where our brains will fill in the gaps of uncertainty with what we are certain of. And what you are certain of is what you have experienced in the past. And my hunch is you've had some hurt in your life, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go from that concept to I begin to get numb, see what your system is doing is your system is shutting down and kind of like compressing and putting you in a safe and closing the door where you can't feel anything, nobody can get to you. In the unknown, unsafe kinds of relationships, but you find in counseling where it's structured and safe, you sort of open the door a little bit. So what I would suggest you do is talk to your counselor about, okay, if one-on-one counseling is the safe place where you can begin to thaw out, and we look at concentric circles, sort of like a bullseye to the outer circles on a bullseye, what would the next level of structured safety be, but also that got you a little more out there in the world? For example, maybe the next level is a therapy group where it has the same kinds of protections that one-on-one therapy has, but it has more people, and there's other struggling, people in there, or people with struggles in there, so you can identify with them. So now you're not just learning how to thaw out with a counselor, but you're learning how to thaw out with 6 or 7 or 8 other people under the guidance and protection of a counselor, and your mind will understand, oh, it's a little safer here than, out there at Denny's or something. You follow me?
Right, yes.
So you gradually begin to expose yourself to less and less structured settings, but you don't go from one-on-one out there to anything can happen on the highways and byways of life. And maybe another level out would be a structured recovery group or some kind of support group that has a good leader at the church or. So that's usually a good way to do it. And then to find one trusted friend that understands these kinds of things.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
That sounds good. I have, a few safe friends, and I was trying to widen my circle. And I did start a women's group. This will be our fourth time on meet.
Go, girl. You're on your way.
Okay.
But what I would also do is, if it's okay with your counselor, check it out with him or her. You said him? Is that right?
Yes.
Check it out with him if he thinks this is helpful. But if it's the kind of group where you're going to process stuff like this, say to the group, okay, guys, I have a problem. I want to learn how to open up, but when I do, I find the opposite happens. I'm trying to open up and actually shut down. So I just want y'all to know that, and I want to be able to say it, and you don't have to fix me or anything. I just want to be able to put into words what's happening and share that with you and say, gosh, I'm starting to feel numb now. I must be afraid of you guys. And then they can say, oh, that's okay, let's pray for you. We're here. And you bring them into your experience of the fear in the moment. And sometimes that really goes a long way to joining you to today's moment with safe people versus your mind telling you that this is the dangers of the past. See, the big problem is that the side of your brain that carries emotions and trauma and all of that is not connected to a clock, because that's on the other side of your brain, and it doesn't get there until you talk about the experiences. So all these locked away fears, they don't know if it's 2008 or 1985 when you were getting hurt until you start to talk. Mm-hmm. And when you start to talk, then the people in 2008 answer, and your brain goes, oh gosh, I must not be with those mean people anymore. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that does. That makes a lot of sense.
What year does your majority of your hurt come from, or what set of years? How old are you?
Actually, mostly 70s.
70s?
Yeah.
So it's been a while. It's been a while, see? Yeah. And what happens is it stays frozen until it starts to get talked about and hooked up to what the Bible calls love. Love covers, and it melts, and it heals. And so you need to find safe places to open up to love.
All right. I'm so glad that you called. Healing is a Choice is on its way. What's another book that would help her, Henry?
I'd say Changes That Heal.
All right.
Really addresses that a lot.
That's the Change duo, Changes That Heal, and Healing is a Choice. If you make the choice to heal, you'll want to read or choose to read Healing is a Choice.
And you can get both of those books at newlife.com, or you can call us to get a copy of those books. That teaching that Henry does about one side of the brain and the other is so profound when you think about how to organize your feelings like that. The brain has the clock, which doesn't know if it's 1973 or 2024. Isn't that that's just a powerful way for us to recognize our feelings are not always accurate. She was, experiencing the shutdown, but look at all that she was doing in the meantime.
Yeah. So often people are reacting to the implicit memory, the part of the brain that doesn't have a date time stamp, instead of the explicit where the story can be told. And if you don't have a date time stamp and your body is reacting, nervous system doesn't know. It does not know the difference. And so it feels very real, the threat, the danger, it feels very real, but it's not that past experience. And I love what he said too about it's the talking about it that connects it. When you start to tell the story of the thing that happened way back when have you ever felt this way before? Connecting to that can help you bring that old past hurt into the present moment, and then you can determine, am I really upset about this, or am I more upset about that?
Yeah, it's really good. I always say before freedom comes pain. Sometimes you have to lean into that 1970s for pain. But you know what? There's we have a God who breaks through those pains and we can find hope and healing. It doesn't take away sometimes all of that, but we can break through. We can do all things with Christ who strengthens us. That's how you start this program.
That's a great full circle. Thank you, Jacqui. Thank you, Jim. And thank you, listeners. Stay in touch with us. We'll be back next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.